could you just introduce yourself for the viewers and let us know a little bit about who you are and your journey in boxing so far?
Well, my name's Ishmael Ellis. I've been boxing professionally now for 4 years. I got into boxing when I was about 19, 20. Because
Okay.
basically I stopped playing football and started playing football. I had about 6 months off. I
Yeah.
went to play football again. I was madly out of shape and unfit. And I was like, oh man, I need to get my fitness back up. And I just thought I want to try something new. So I started boxing. Had a couple of white collar fights and stuff.
Yeah.
Then I had a year doing amateurs. Had a little complication in amateurs, ended up getting kicked out of it. Um, and then I was sparring down my manager's John Pegg's gym,
Yeah.
the pros and stuff. And then he just says, look, have you not thought about turning pro? And then, yeah, that was it, man, turned pro.
Yeah.
And this is where I'm at today.
For that. Yeah. Talking about the amateurs, how many fights? We don't need to go into detail about your complications in the amateurs, but how many amateur fights did you have?
Only had, I think it was like seven, maybe eight, 7 or 8. It wasn't a lot. It
Yeah.
was literally just like one season and then
Yeah.
it was done.
Yeah. And how did your fights go on the amateurs?
Um, I won every fight. Basically, the problem was I won every fight, and then I got to the finals, and then um, the kid I beat in the semis.
Yeah.
His manager then told the amateur board that I had white collar fights before, which I had declared, but
Right.
they was, but I hadn't had a white collar fight for 12 months. It'd been about
Okay.
16 to 18 months, and they ask you to declare if it's been 12 months. So obviously I didn't declare it because it hadn't been 12 months, and
Right.
then they kicked me out. They kicked me out of the finals, and then that was it. Yeah.
Wow. Do you reckon you would have won that opponent if it did happen then?
I think so. Yeah.
Mm.
I would have given him a good run for his money at that anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they just stopped you off at the so you couldn't get any further.
Yeah. If your face don't fit and all that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is boxing. So you turn
Exactly.
over pro with John Pegg, and where's his gym based in Birmingham again?
East side in Birmingham,
That's
just
it.
in Borsley Green.
Yeah, and he's had quite a few fighters out of there. Obviously, there's yourself. Um, give us a couple of the other fighters that also fight out of that gym.
The well-known one, the most well-known one is obviously Sam Eggington.
Yeah,
And then he's got another lad, Shaq Peters, who just recently come off an
yeah,
unfortunate loss, British title fight. He's got Casey Benjamin, another really big prospect.
yeah,
And he's got he's got a good few decorated pros out of there as well. But
yeah.
I'm only managed by John. I train out of a gym called DNA in Sturchley. My trainer is a guy called Anthony Hall. Um, but yeah, we're managed by
Yeah,
John. So
fair
I do
enough.
sparring and everything at his
Yeah,
side, but
yeah.
my training's at DNA.
Okay. And how long have you been with that trainer?
The whole time I've been boxing, so
Oh, right.
coming up
Okay.
so coming up to 10 years now.
Yeah, right. So he knows you better than most then. Um,
Yeah,
but when
definitely.
you go to the fights, you've classed as obviously under John Pegg's management.
Yeah. The problem was with yesterday was there was a little family matter with my trainer, so he was on his way down to the
Okay.
venue, and then he had a phone call of family emergency, and he phoned me about it, and I said, "Look, man, just go back." I said,
Wow.
"Because at the end of the day, I'd rather you go there, in case something happened, at least you're there. Then, if you're down here and something happens and you're kicking yourself that you wasn't there." So I said to him, "Look, man, just go back and sort your family stuff
Mm,
out. I'll be all right."
yeah. Wow. And then obviously we get to yesterday. So I know that you fought Kane Baker as well. I was
Yeah,
looking
yeah,
through your box recs. You've got a few nice names on your professional record on box rec. Um, this fight with Dalton Smith.
yeah,
That's how you came to my attention. Because I'll be
yeah,
quite honest with you, I usually look at heavyweights and light heavyweights. But
yeah.
obviously, with this card yesterday, our first boxing back since lockdown 17, I'm paying attention to all the fighters, and then I saw yourself, and I was like, okay, fellow Brummy, but he's took this fight at short notice. Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So like last year, I
Yeah,
trained for like I trained for like 3 fights that didn't happen. Um,
Okay.
and and then I've trained for a fight that was meant to happen the 18th of December, and then
Yeah.
about 5 days before, got told it weren't going to happen. And
Okay.
then we was talking about hopefully the end of March. So I'd literally just been training for about 2 weeks, just easing back into it.
Yep.
And then got a phone call last Wednesday, just offering me the fight. And I just says yeah straight away. Before I didn't even realize at first that it was a matchroom show or anything. I was just eager to get out there to fight. You know what I mean? And I knew I was a complete underdog and everything, but it was just more the fact that I'm a fighter and I'm here to fight. There's no point in calling yourself a boxer and then people will give you opportunities and you're turning them down and that.
Mm.
So I said yeah, and then it was all a mad rush. My medical had run out, so I had to get like my medical done on like the next day, and obviously I still work, so I was like trying to juggle
Yes.
everything around work,
Yeah.
and then yeah, and then it was only like I think it was like the Friday that I realized it was actually a matchroom show, and I was like bloody hell, do you know
Oh,
what I mean?
yeah. And the first one back after lockdown as well.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
these fights are well, these cards are always significant because fight fans like me are sat at home waiting, for the British cards to start back up again, and there you are, on one of the first ones back. So you have like a week and a half's notice. You're getting everything, sorted. You're on your way down. You're getting ready. You're in the bubble, so you're sort of like isolated then anyway because you have to have your COVID test and you're more or less locked in the hotel. Then you find out that your trainer, obviously, he's got to go back to Birmingham, back home. What are you thinking at this point? Fair enough, yeah, family first, 100%. But what are you thinking now?
So we've had nothing really like me and my trainer were very similar. We both kind of come from like kind of like the roads in it. So it's sort of like we always look at it as yo, if you're gonna
That's
fight, you're gonna fight in it. Like you could
mm,
come out of your house today, get into a fight. You could anything could happen. You could be in Asda, get into an argument with someone on the aisle, it goes
mm,
off. Road rage, it goes off, and whatever. So don't get me wrong, I'd love for him to have been there and everything in my corner, and obviously to share the experience and everything with him because we've started together.
yeah,
I've never gone to another trainer or anything. You know what I mean? We've
hmm,
we've been together from day that. Um, it was a bit disappointing, but like I say, innit, we had a game plan, little thing, and you know, I knew he was kind of there in spirit, as they say.
yeah,
Um, so yeah, it was a bit annoying, but yo, listen, family comes first to me.
mm,
So
mm,
like I say, I'd rather him have gone and sorted his family stuff out than been in my corner if something happened because I'd have been
yeah,
kicking myself. You know what
yeah.
I mean?
Yeah. So your plan B then, who did you have in your corner?
We had Jan in the corner because obviously Jan was coming down with us anyway.
Yeah.
So still had Jan in my corner, and then we had another seconds.
Okay.
We kind of knew anyway.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was still good. It didn't add any extra nerves or anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I say, it was just more a bit disappointing experience wise that we didn't really get to share the experience together at such a big stage. But hopefully, we'll get the opportunity again.
Yeah. Absolutely. So you then okay. So you find out who your opponent is. I take it you found that out at the time when you got the call.
Um, yeah. Found that out at the time. I knew it was.
Yep.
I knew it was, and I didn't know it was. I thought I knew it was, and I just needed to kind of check that it was him.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I knew what I was going to expect. I knew it was going to be a tough fight. I knew it was going to be sharp and everything.
Mm,
Um, and all credit to him, man. He's a great fighter. He's very sharp. He's
mm,
very comfortable in the ring.
mm,
He's powerful, and most importantly, which is what I love about this sport the most, is he's an absolute gentleman. Do you know
yeah.
what I mean? Before the fight, he
Yeah.
was sound, and after the fight, me and his dad and him, we had a little chat, and there was nothing but manners.
Yeah. Yeah. So the first bell goes and you walk out, you come out, you can see it, you're confident, you're in your stance, you're ready. Talk us through that fight.
Um, First round went good, I think. Um, After the first round, I knew
Yeah.
anyway. I knew it was going to be him trying to. Well, both was trying to figure each other out and see how we react.
Yeah.
So I knew he was going to step it up in the second round, which he
Mm.
did. thought the second round was all right, but the third round, like I say, he did step it up, and then it was just like you could tell his the amateur pedigree, and you could see why he was like the top in the GB team because it was like I felt like I was like a little bit out of range, and then bang, and then he'd hit me, and I'd be like, "Yo, right, how did you get that off?" You know, one of them, and it'd be like boom, boom, and I'm like, "No way."
Yeah,
Um, and then yeah, basically at the end of the third round, my nose,
yeah.
it did actually look crooked, and then John was looking at it, and John was like, "I think your nose is broke." And I was like, oh, I'll go out for another round. And then he just went, nah. He says, don't even bother. He says, because I don't want you to go out there and then you mash it up even more. He's like, it ain't worth it. He's like,
Okay.
I'm just going to pull it. So he pulled it.
Yeah. How did you feel when he said nah? Because you were still wanted to carry on.
Yeah, I was gutted. I did, like, obviously we took the fight on like short notice
Yeah.
and it was a 10 minute fight. So it was going to be long. The plan more or less was to try and like push Dalton to do 10 rounds. Do you know what I mean? And just
Yeah.
kind of give him some experience as well, like
Yeah.
at the same time.
Mm,
Yeah, I was gutted. I would have liked to have stuck in there a little bit longer, but looking back on it, like afterwards and
yeah.
this morning, and it's just like, you know what? At the end of the day, I've got a black eye. My nose was messed up
Mm,
on the night. So it could have gone, I could have probably maybe have stuck in there for another 2, 3 rounds, but the damage I would have accumulated and still took a loss is like, you know what? It was probably the best decision at the time. I
yeah.
can still come again. He's not in my league. His levels above me. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
So it was good to share the experience with him.
Yeah.
100%, he's going to be a British champion and probably European, and he probably would be pushing for world level. So you know what? At least I can say, yo, I
Yeah.
shared the ring with him.
Yeah. Yeah. Because going back into that, that third round, I saw it when he started to step up. The pressure started to step up, and he just seemed to be picking his shots very, very well. And when you went back into the corner, I thought, are they going to pull it? There was just a little bit of hesitancy where I saw, John having a look at you. Um, and that relationship you have with your trainer, because at the end of the day, they can see, what you can't. And fair enough, your main trainer wasn't there at that time. But that relationship that you have with John, he looked at you enough to say, you know what, let's live to fight another day. You can carry on, but what is the point?
Yeah, that's exactly in it. Like you say, he's like me. I would have carried on and gone back out, but obviously he can see more, and it's like he says in it. It's like you don't accumulate too much damage. Do you know
Oh,
what I'm saying?
yeah,
Because in the long run, it ain't gonna last, and
yeah,
it's just not gonna look. It's not gonna look good for you on TV. Right? It's like, look, you've gone in there, you've done your thing, you took the damage. Before it gets any worse, he goes, don't get me wrong. If it was a 6 round fight,
yeah.
I'd
Okay.
have definitely stayed in there. And he said
Yeah,
the same. He goes, if it was 6 rounds, I would have says, look,
yeah.
grind it out, try and like maybe just box on the back foot for a round,
Okay.
get some energy back, and then we'll have another 2 rounds to try and
Hmm.
keep up. But obviously, it was a 10 round fight, and like he said, he goes, I know you could have lasted probably to about 6 or 7. He goes, but I didn't want you to get to 6 or 7 and be absolutely battered,
Yeah,
and you know what I mean. And then it's just like an accumulation of damage on you.
yeah. No, I hear that, and you've got to give massive respect to your trainer for that because your best interests is what he had in mind. Um,
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you as a boxer, as a professional boxer, and you've seen fights and you've seen fighters, get proper damage, and they're still carrying on. Their corner doesn't seem to say, I don't know, I don't think you should, I'll pull you out. So, how do you think that compares to the way that obviously John was, and it's proven with you, in comparison to other fights that you may have seen?
I think it all depends on the situation. I mean, like I
Yeah,
say, if it was a 6 round fight, if there was less rounds and he
yeah,
let me carry on, then I
yeah,
think he probably would have done the right thing, even
mm,
though it was a little bit dangerous just for the whole like, pride and ego thing.
yeah,
If it was a title fight, definitely, if it's a title fight, probably, yeah, at least give me another round or two just to see how I get on, just in
yeah.
case the tables turn. I think I mean, he did do the right thing. He's a lot more, well experienced. I think some trainers and some fighters, I think some trainers are a bit inexperienced and they kind of live it through their fighters. So it's
Okay.
like they want the fight, they want the title or they want the win,
Yes.
but the the fighter knows he hasn't got anything in his tank to keep going, and the trainer's there pushing him, which then can be wrong, which is a little bit of inexperience. So, like I
Yeah.
said, I've got a good team behind me, man. Like I know Anthony wasn't there, but
Mm,
John's he's a great geezer, man. Like, and he's
mm,
got loads of knowledge, loads of experience. He knew what he's seen it straight away. He went, I think your nose is broke. And I was like, I can still breathe. And he was like, yeah, but mate, he goes, it's a little bit crooked. He touched it, looked at it, and he was like, listen, he goes, I don't want you to get like damage in it. So he called the ref over and he said it, and he was like, look, just come back another day. He's like, there's nothing to shy away from. He took the fight on with a week's notice. Do you know
absolutely.
what I mean? The whole week of training was just getting weight off.
Yeah.
Um, and then he's a top prospect. It's not like I got in there with just some guy that's had 4 fights and 4 wins, and then they're just
Mhm.
like on my level. If it was someone on my level, then yeah, I'd be absolutely screwing. But he was a top prospect
Mm.
kid, and he's a lovely kid as well.
Yeah, that was nice to see. The respect between both of you at the end of the fight as well. But we've got to still take our hat off to you for taking that fight at such short notice. I mean, going into the fight, did you have a particular game plan?
To be fair, the game plan was just to kind of keep it long with him and not like kind of engage, and just like I say, just try and take him into the later rounds and maybe see if we could maybe pick up the pace on him because he hasn't done the 10 rounds, and maybe just kind of push him a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, but he did the right thing, man, early on and didn't let me get set. And yeah,
Mm,
you know what I mean.
mm, mm.
That's what makes a great fighter, isn't it? He adapted quicker than me.
Yeah, absolutely. And then going on from that, then, do you think if you had like a full camp or more time to train, it could have been a different story? I know we say shoulda, woulda, coulda. Hindsight's a wonderful thing, but you knowing yourself as a fighter, if you had, say, that 12-week camp or you was in solid training, do you think there could have been a different outcome yesterday?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think if I had a camp, I'd have definitely been a lot more fit and a lot more sharper.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I said, I had a week of getting weight off.
Yep.
And then literally it was just um a day of just refueling and rest.
Yeah.
And yeah, and then just getting in there and then getting in there yesterday and trying to do the best that I could.
Yeah.
But like I say, like uh, can't take nothing away from me. He's a level above me.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it was
Yeah.
it was an honor to share the ring with him. It's an honor to get in there with somebody so good and
Mm.
just to do it. I mean, there's like the fight got offered to so many fighters, and
Okay.
everyone was just loads of people was knocking it back because of who he is. Everyone was just like, nah, I don't want to fight him, don't want to
Okay.
fight him, don't want to fight him. There's lads that I fought that have turned it down, and this is what's really frustrating me because it's like, people there's boxers out there that are undefeated and they're like
Mm.
giving it all 10 and they're posting things up on their social media and that like, oh yeah, I'm in training, I'm ready for a phone call, but then they get the phone call, oh no, that's not the fight for me. But at the end of the day, if you're a fighter, why are you shying away? Like, to me, you shouldn't be so scared of losing your O. If you lose your O and you've put everything out on the line,
Yeah.
you haven't lost anything. You've
Yeah.
lost a number, literally, what on basically a piece of paper. That's it.
For
Do you
real.
know what I mean? The amount that you can gain from it, like the amount I've learned a lot
Yeah.
from yesterday,
Yeah.
and and I've met a lot of people through it. So to me, it's an experience, and it's a boost to my career.
Absolutely. And that is a really good mindset to have. And you touched on something there, the world of social media boxing,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
the world of, I don't know, the celebrity boxer.
Basically, innit? Like people like to put stuff up and act and put a bravado on.
Mm,
When it comes down to it, they're not ready for it. It's like, I don't understand it, man. It's like if you're saying that you're a boxer and you're saying
yeah,
you're doing all this training
yeah,
and you're saying that you're this, you're that, and you want titles and you want fights. So, I mean,
yeah.
especially right now, we're in a pandemic, man. You don't even know when you're going to be fighting. That's why I've took
Okay.
that was another reason why I took the fight as well because for all I know, I might not even fight again this year. Who knows what's going to happen?
Yeah.
You know, we could go into this lockdown might last longer. We might go come out of lockdown and go back into a lockdown again, and
Mm,
there might not be no fights this year. This could be the only. This next few months might be the only bits of fights that we get for the whole of this year in British boxing. So at least I can say that I've done it. At least I can say I've fought again in the pandemic. So
mm,
this is why I'm not getting what boxers are doing. They're saying that they want to fight again, offered fights, and then they're not taking it. It's just like
mm.
I don't know. To me, it's absolutely mad.
Yeah, yeah. No, I can understand that one, and I kind of like get it a little bit more because you said other people were offered to your opponent yesterday, to Dalton, and they decided that no, I don't want to take that fight, and then it was left, for someone like yourself to say, yeah, all right, then I'm going to step up to the plate. So moving
Yeah.
forward, then with yourself, and then we can touch on the rest of the card shortly. You hold down a full-time job. So you're
Yeah,
a gas engineer, aren't you?
yeah,
So
yeah,
it's full-time. Yeah. You've obviously got, responsibility, got to pay the bills. How do you
yeah.
then stay ready? Because you said you had a week and a half notice. You had to get some weight off. How much weight did you have to get off?
In all, it was a stone.
Okay. I won't even ask how you've done that. So, there's could be like dehydration, etc., etc. So moving forward then, in case you do get another short notice call, like I said, the doors are open at the moment. What are
Yeah.
you going to do to make sure that you haven't got to, like, rush to get the weight off, rush to get into shape, to make sure you're ready for a fight?
Well, see, now that I'm kind of like not at weight at the minute because I would
Yeah.
put way back. But now that I'm kind of already kind of a little bit lower than what I was, and obviously my body's in that kind of momentum.
Yeah.
I'll probably get back into training on Wednesday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and just take it easy for a week.
Yeah.
Just try and burn some calories off within that week, and
Mm,
then yeah, just pick it back up. Um, and yeah, just carry on from there. I mean, I can't fight now for 28 days anyway, so I
yes.
can't fight until next month. So I've got a month basically of just kind of fine tuning, kind of keep the weight down or get the weight down, so
Yeah.
that if I do get a phone call next time, if I've only got to lose half a stone
Yep.
or a few pounds, that's
Mhm.
even better.
Yeah, yeah, because you got to think about the long term stuff when it comes to like dehydration for that rapid weight loss.
Yeah,
You've got to
exactly.
look after that brain. Um,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So hopefully then, say for example, if the doors stay open, when
yeah.
are you hoping to fight again?
Man, as soon as end of March, April,
Okay.
May, soon as I come out of, I got these 28 days. As soon as I come out of that, I'll be
Mm,
ready to go again.
yeah. So I take it from this, your aspiration is to really be a professional boxer so you can say bye bye to the day job and stick at this
Yeah,
as a
if
career.
I, yeah, if I could, 100%. If not, like I say, anything that I do in my life, I just try and put 100 into it and try and be the
Yeah.
best that I can be at it. Um, I'd like to. I've missed out on two Midlands titles, which have been like stupidly
Okay.
close decisions, and they could have gone either way. And a lot of people have said that I've won both of them and stuff.
Wow.
So I'd like to try and get. I'd like to try and get the Midlands. My dream was always to get a Midlands title and at least
Okay.
an English.
Yeah.
So yeah, my plan is hopefully this year maybe try and get at least either an eliminator or another title shot at the Midlands.
Yeah.
If I can secure the Midlands, then just
Yeah.
work my way up towards the English.
Yeah.
Um, at the minute I can't quit work because work is the breadwinner. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, I mean, you can earn some decent money out of boxing sometimes, but the reality of it is on a day-to-day basis,
Yeah.
like me as when I was a home fighter and that, I weren't walking away with much money on that.
Yeah.
So I still have to work. Work brings me in a lot of money. Work is my job is what I've done, since I was 16.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what kind of has got me my two houses. It's got me everything that I've got in my life. So
Mm.
I'll keep doing work.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I've always got more work to fall back on. Like at the end of the day, I'm not going to be boxing up until I'm 50.
Yeah.
So I'm, I still need to keep in work so
Yeah.
that when I am doing boxing, I can still fall back on it.
Yeah.
Um, I don't think I if I could, obviously, kind of just boom, knock out in the head for a bit and just do full time boxing, that'd be brilliant. But the
Yeah.
reality of it is, we're not all Anthony Joshua's, we're not all freaking Floyd Mayweather's. We all don't have that look to live that lifestyle. There are a lot of pros, there's a lot of world champions out there that still work.
Mm.
So if I could maybe cut it down to maybe 3 days a week of work,
Yeah.
that'd be brilliant.
Yeah.
Um, but for now, I just gotta ride it through, juggle it, and however many days work I have to do, I do, and I train and I fit the training around it.
Yeah, yeah, for real. Spot on, really. You got the right mindset. You sort of like prepared for all inevitabilities. You know what you want to do, but you also appreciate that you've got to have that plan B because
Yeah,
you've still got to eat. And you
yeah,
can't just rely on boxing. Like you said, we can't all be Anthony Joshua's. We can't all be Floyd Mayweather's. The realization is there, even though the passion is there, that you still want to be, get really involved in the sport so you would be able to do it full time. So massive credit and respect to that, for you and your honesty. I like that. There's a refreshing side about you because you're just quite honest and you just tell it as it is. You talked about the opportunity, the experience, and no doubt this will come again because you've proved reliability. You've proved that you're willing to take on something at short notice. You prove that you're willing to take on somebody that you know, like you said, is levels above where you are, and you could see the amateur pedigree. So moving on to the other fights on the card, and I'm going to go to the fights that are after yourself. We're going to talk about the. Oh, I just want your honest opinion on the Zalfa Barrett versus Kiko Martinez, and your take on that fight.
I think Zalfa. I think he's a brilliant fighter. I like him. I've watched him for a while. Um, Before he kind of made it into kind of this into the name that he's now.
Yeah,
Um, I think he had a very tough opponent in Kiko Martinez. To be fair,
yeah,
he's an old guy, but he's rugged and he can like pull it out the bag. He
mm,
could like, what I mean? Like people probably look at him and think, he's a bit old and washed up. But he's been in there with like world champions
yes,
and
he
I think
has.
he's been European champion like 3 times or something.
Yeah,
Um, I think he boxed very well, Zalfa. I do really like his boxing. I think he's a real nice, clean, crisp fighter.
mm. But in relation to the scorecards,
Um, to be fair, I've only watched it to watch it. I wasn't really trying to score it. Do you know what I'm saying?
okay,
Um, So I can't really comment on it because, like I say, I wasn't really judging it. I was just watching. You know what I mean? I
yeah,
wasn't watching in the
yeah,
aspect of trying to judge it. I was just watching it
as a fight.
as a kind of fan. Yeah.
Mm, yeah, okay. Because how would you deal with somebody, that is relentless and that is a pressure fighter? I mean, say for example, Smith was kind of similar like that with yourself. The pressure was put on. So how would you deal with like a pressure fighter?
Pressure fighters, the main thing is, especially with like Smith and Martinez, because they can mix it inside. Is you don't wanna fall into their game plan and stay inside. So you need to kind of just stay boxing, keep them long,
Okay.
make them miss, and when they miss, capitalize on it. Because if you start mixing it with them, you'll end up tiring yourself out. If you're not that kind of
Yeah.
fighter, you'll end up tiring yourself out, and then
Yeah.
that's when they end up just beating you up, and then you get the knockout. So
Mm,
the plan that was kind of half the plan with Dalton yesterday. But like I say,
yeah.
he put the pressure on that much that he didn't give me time to set. The plan was
Yeah.
to kind of just take it steady because I
Yeah.
knew he was going to be kind of amateur. It was the plan was feints, get him to kind of twitch and
Mhm.
capitalize, or get him
Okay.
to throw,
Yeah.
miss, and then try and throw. Just even if it's just like one single, like throw, he misses, bang, one shot, and then get out of there and just
Yeah.
boom, just keep doing that. And that was the plan, was to just work through the
Okay.
rounds and get some rounds in.
Yeah.
And then obviously in the later rounds, because he hasn't been 10 rounds, if he was tiring, maybe step up the pace a little bit on him and see how he reacts. Because like I say, it was a test for me, but it was also a test for him as well.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, he hasn't been 10 rounds. So, it was for me as well. It was hopefully I was hoping to give him a test to try and get him, just to make him feel what it's like to do a bit more rounds and all that kind of
Mm,
stuff. You know what I mean?
mm. Yeah, fair enough. And then we move on to the last bout of the night, the headline of the card, um, Warrington versus Lara.
I didn't see this fight because it was actually traveling back on the time
Oh,
at the time, so I still need to watch it back. But it was a shock. I didn't think Warrington was going to. Well, I didn't really think he was going to lose, let alone get knocked out. But from what I've heard from it, Lara kind of put it on him and kind of hurt him. I think it was in like the fourth or something like that, and
mm,
then kind of just capitalized on it from there, man. I was very shocked with that with Warrington. Um, but one thing I will say,
mm,
a lot of fighters in with that style, like Warrington style, where they're quite rugged and
yeah,
they're coming forward and it's power, power,
yeah,
power. It's kind of like it works well, but then when you get to a certain age, it kind of takes its toll on them. Like a lot of fighters like that, like Ricky Hatton, Arturo Gatti, all
yeah,
of them, they was all them kind of fighters. When they hit the kind of age of 30, man, it's like I don't know, man. It's like they've just torn their body to bits, and then it just takes it all out of them. I
mm.
think that might have been what happened to Warrington last night. I think, unfortunately for him, he gave up the world title, didn't he, to take that fight
He did.
on.
He did.
So I feel for him really bad because I
Mm,
don't really know where he comes back now.
yeah,
Because
yeah,
at the end of the day, is he going to be able to get another world title shot? Because then, Eddie and other promoters might look at it like, well, you've just come off of a knockout loss. Okay, we could put you in there with a world title shot. If you don't win that, then you ain't getting nothing. So, you
mm,
know, a promoter is going to look at it at the aspect of, yeah, I can put you on the show, but I need to get something back in return. I need to make money off of you.
yeah,
And do I want to take that risk of giving you another world title shot
yeah,
that you could potentially lose?
mm.
So yeah,
Risky.
it's a hard one for Orange, and I do really feel for him. You know, I mean, he put it, he made a massive decision, and
Yeah,
unfortunately, it just went wrong for him.
yeah. But looking at, things from the Mexican point of view, from Lara's point of view, he's 22 years old. Um, they are, Mexican, Ecuador, that side of the globe are very, very relentless in their fight style. Um, what are your thoughts on the mindsets of fighters from over there compared to over here? I mean, I've got my own opinion, but I just want to see what your thoughts are about that.
I've been to Mexico a few times, and I've
Yeah,
trained over there as well. To be
excellent.
fair, this is back when before I was pro, but I sparred with a lot of them.
Yeah,
The thing is with them, it is literally like kind of a way out. Like they're using it. They have to fight to put
okay.
food on the table. That is like plain and simple. They have to fight to put food on the table. Now Lara's won that fight. He probably got a nice payday, but he probably ain't got nowhere near as good as a payday as what somebody else probably would have got.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they're fighting. They're fighting for their lives, and it's the same when they're training, the way they train, and
Yep.
when they spar. Like we went over there and we sparred them, and even when you sparred them, you had to earn their respect. They didn't, you come in the gym and there was like they don't speak English. They didn't want to kind of really know. Yeah, and then when you spar them, and and they you earn their respect. Then when you spar them, and they realize that yeah, you're in the mug. They don't respect, and then all of a sudden they could speak English and everything, and and yeah, there was Sam. I've made great friends in
Excellent.
Mexico, and I've met some great trainers out there. But
Mm.
yeah, I think I mean, to be 22 to come over to England to fight, such a big name and
Yeah.
to knock him out, that's massive. Like that's probably life changing for him. And
Absolutely.
like I say, for all of them, like South American countries, it is literally it's like not a matter of life or death, but it's just literally a matter of putting food on the table.
I hear you.
And it's their way out. It's their way out of like poverty. A lot of them live in like in gangs
Yeah.
and like there's a lot of shootings, killings, and
Yeah.
everything going on. So
Mm.
it's their way. The boxing gym is their way out of it,
Yeah.
and the fighting is their way of distracting their brain and kind of basically
Get it?
feeling happy.
Yeah. I 100% get it. And you kind of like said exactly what I was thinking, but I just wanted to gauge your opinion. I think a lot of things with boxing, it's to do with mindset.
Yeah,
And
yeah, definitely.
when they box, they're boxing almost like for freedom, like to change their
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
lifestyle.
yeah. To
So
change
when
their
you've
life,
got
yeah.
that mindset and you're going into the ring with an opponent that's, I don't know, maybe had an easier life than you, so they're fighting to win. But the Mexicans, like I said, the South Americans, they're fighting to take your head off because they know what a change this can make for their life.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I think you see that in the fight. You see the hunger and the passion because when they both went out to start off with, it started off. Yeah, I mean, you've got yet to watch it, but it started off really aggressive. There was no sussing each other out. When you get a bit cagey in the first, you're thinking, what? No, it was aggressive from the get go, and it was a slugfest. Um, I'll let you watch it because it's pointless me discussing it with you if you haven't watched the fight in its entirety.
Yeah.
Like you said, fighters being inactive. The consequence of this, you've got a hungry fighter that thinks, hold on a minute, British pounds, I'm taking his head off. We saw it with the Ecuadorian twins, Felix Alvadaro. I don't know if you watched that on the Luke Campbell Garcia
Oh,
undercard.
yeah, 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 yeah.
They weren't playing around.
Yeah, yeah. They never do though. Like, like I say, if you look at most Mexican fighters,
Mm,
but that again, that's where I came back to that kind of rugged style because
yeah,
Mexican style is quite a lot of the same. They're, they're just fit and game, but they don't really last long. I think probably the oldest only a couple of good ones. You got
yeah,
like Marquez and
yeah.
Chavez that have lasted kind of past 30
Mm-hmm.
because the style's that rugged. I think
Nanny.
you're just absolutely destroying the body.
Yeah.
Um, so I mean, like Canelo, it'd be good to see how he gets on, say after 30. Do you know what I mean? But to be fair, by the time he probably hits 30, he'd probably wiped everybody out anyway. So it would be like good enough to you probably have no fights to have after that. But do you know
Mm.
what I'm saying? It'd be good to see how he kind of
What he
goes
does
after
next.
30.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, to see if he starts to deplete. Because obviously, he's at his peak right at the minute. You
yeah,
know what I mean? I can't see anybody out there beating him.
yeah,
But, give it another 2 years. Let's see what happens. But like I say, in that next 2 years, he probably will have took everybody out. That's a name, and there'll be no one out there for him to fight.
yeah. Because he's got I think there's a bout impending with him and Billy Joel now, isn't there?
Yeah, but I can't really see Billy Joe doing him, to be honest. I think he'll give him a good fight, but I just think Canelo will just be too tough for him.
Slick. Yeah, and he's quite
Yeah.
slick as well. Even though Billy Joel is slick with his movement, Canelo's definitely
Canelo's
something
just another
else.
level. He's just a beast.
Yeah. So we're going to come to a close of this conversation now. I've absolutely loved having you on the channel. Sorry about the earlier issue.
Intro. Nah, don't worry about
You
it.
know,
One of
um,
them things.
yeah. So just obviously looking forward, you're still looking to see if you can get some fights in this year,
Yeah, 100%.
while you're still juggling everything else.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to say, anything that you want to cover that I haven't covered before we finish off?
Nah, all I want to say is if any boxers are watching and they're like not fighting this pandemic and there's any unbeaten fighters that are watching, all I say to you is listen, don't be scared to take that over, man. Nobody's a Mayweather. All the greats have took losses. Um, Obviously, you don't want to take a loss, or you don't want to take the loss to a
Mhm.
person that you think that you could have beat.
Yeah.
In this pandemic that's going on, if the fights come up, I'd say, listen, just take it. Stay active, stay training, watch your weights, and yeah, man, do what you've got to do as a fighter and get in there and fight.
Very, very wise words from such a young man. Thank you once again for coming on the channel. Hopefully, this is not the first and the last time that we'll speak. I'd definitely love to have you on again, follow up on your next fight, and I wish you nothing but the best. Thanks, Ish.
Now, thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
October Red on YouTube. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell for notifications. And don't forget, at October Red, we stay ready.
See, okay, you're a genius.